Greetings. Well, I know I probably should be the GIS, but they're across the street, no one's there. But park planning and development
Yes.
would be the.
That's me.
Where do you guys get the official park boundaries for your city? Where do you draw them from? Where do you refer people to?
For park boundaries?
Yeah, just for park boundaries in general.
Like a built park?
Oh yeah,
For
just
the
all
land?
cities. Yeah, well, like to tell people not to be in a park at night. You know, we've seen the maps online,
Mhm.
like both natural areas and parks, and so we think they're all sourced from the GIS department's stuff, and of course that's always sourced from the county, the surveyor, stuff like that.
So we purchase the land and you're looking for the boundaries of a park?
Yeah, or
Specific park or?
well, in general, if one wanted to know the park boundaries for something, they would not go to, say, Parks Department to get the boundaries. They
Right.
would go to.
You can actually look that
GIS or
up
something.
online.
Yeah, that's what we figured.
Or- right.
Obvious questions here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the gisweb.fcgov.com.
Mhm.
That's what we thought.
Yeah.
And so, if anybody wanted to ask what the official source of park boundaries are in the city, you would refer them most likely to the GIS department.
Yeah, because they would have the maps with the boundaries on them.
Yeah, so the Parks Department, they don't manage that on their side, or natural areas manages their
We don't
maps or
have, we don't
anything
have
like
any
that.
maps with the actual boundaries drawn out on them. If that's
Oh.
what you're looking for.
Well, I mean, the GIS web, that has actual boundaries too,
Mhm.
the overlay.
Right.
But it's a dead simple question then. Parks Department is not the one that otherwise offers maps to people they're not the official boundaries. If someone wanted to go to them,
No.
they would be referred, hopefully, back to, say, GIS Department. Or
Yeah, to
something like
look, to look online onto the GIS website and
Okay.
see where the park boundaries are.
That's what I thought. That's absolutely what I thought. Okay, so I'm a hometown native,
Mhm.
born and raised here.
Okay.
I've been cracking a lot of fraud in my town for the last couple of years. Turns out it is getting out of control, and it's so easy. It's very easy. This one is, in a nutshell, police officers that don't really know the laws, try and hide that they don't. They basically, I had a situation where an officer, rather than just going right to his patrol map in his vehicle,
Mhm.
or just simply seeing that it's a sidewalk and going from there, there was a sidewalk, the Lennon Street sidewalk right there next to Jefferson Park.
Uh-huh.
And obviously, we know it's a sidewalk now. There's a private property fence that's up, separating it all.
Right, yeah, that property's been sold.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Linden
Right.
Street Holdings now, or
Mhm.
like something like that. Well, when it was Jefferson Park last year or 2 years ago, before
Mhm.
all this happened, there was an Occupy Jefferson movement. Basically, the officers that night didn't know what the park boundaries were, didn't do their normal original protocol, which is just to look at the patrol maps in the vehicle,
Mhm.
referring to GIS web. They probably would have got it right. There was a more correct map out there that did not include that sidewalk. They went to the Parks Department, and the Parks Department offered them a map without really fully having a conversation with them that it was only an unofficial map that the Parks Department uses for maintenance purposes,
Mhm.
because they clean up the right of way. That officer used it as if it was an actual boundary map, went to court. This was a county court, so the same ticket that my brother got thrown out in municipal court, because obviously the municipal court caught that there was a problem here with boundaries. My brother showed competing maps and won. I showed competing maps to the county court. They don't believe me. So I got wrongfully convicted, and I'm truthfully just putting together everything I can to exonerate myself, because I think it's pretty silly.
Park boundaries would go up to the street and include the sidewalks.
See, that's exactly the contention, is that maintenance map was pulled. It was replaced with a more appropriate one.
Mhm.
The park boundaries definitely did not go curb to curb. He thought they did.
Mhm.
And the kicker of all kickers was that park happened to also have a lease. So we have 3 leases in the records now. I finally found. The lease definitely shows the parcel itself is the purchased land, is the boundaries.
Mhm.
So nothing ever went to the street in terms of that sidewalk.
Mhm.
The other sidewalk is Jefferson Street sidewalk. That actually is in the park. That actually was a very strange phenomenon. That's not actually right of way there. The 100-foot right of way on Jefferson Street was vacated to 30 feet right of way, and because of the railroad counter or something like that.
Right.
But here, Linden Street sidewalk, definitely not in the park,
Mhm.
and we have proof now with the maps, or I mean the fences. But I've told this to them directly. Told this to them, to the DA. I filed an appeal and filled out the entire thing, full investigation too. I went and talked to the Parks Department. I clarified it with them. I have it all on audio. They don't offer that map. They retracted it. They actually, once we drilled down, did not agree with that map anyways, being park boundaries. The officer there, or the ranger said, oh yeah, that's right of way. I wasn't intending for this, you know. And so the whole point is someone's trying to get away with using a map incorrectly. I basically wrongfully convicted of being in a park when I'm not in a park. And I have the evidence for it. And so I can exonerate myself in any way, shape, or form. It's going to be a really big, ugly physical complaint with all of our other cases.
Right.
But we also wanted to just personally, this is now getting to a personal level here, not with us, but with the way that they're treating their cases. With this, let's put it this way, I have another case coming up, and they're doing the same thing. And this case was even more on purpose. This is that fence that's east of Safeway that was put up also in the right-of-way.
Okay.
A surveyor went out.
construction?
Yeah, exactly. The survey, this went up last year. The surveyor went out, checked, found out that it was a illegally put up fence in the right of way. There was no permit for it. I was the one who actually triggered that takedown notice. I was the first one to notice, or only one to notice, 2384 violation. So I got that takedown notice, and I showed that to some police officers while in that fenced area at night. And they're like, nope, we've got probable cause. It's 460 South College. You're in Safeway, private property, trespassing, going to court. That was a year ago, and they're still pushing it to court. And I've told them, I've told the police, I've told everybody. They literally say they can't touch it because I'm in court now. And I even ask them simple questions like, what's the definition of right of way? It's very easy from your book, 1742. You guys won't even touch it because, well, let's face it, we caught them before. We know this type of behavior. It's called racketeering activities. They don't want to admit that they jumped the gun, basically seized somebody, detained somebody with that information. Now they're filling it in after the fact. They left my email out in the warrantless arrest affidavit, so they never told the judge that I mentioned anything about an email. That judge doesn't know themselves that that's not 460, and so they duped an entire DA's office into taking the case. And it's basically, ultimately, a really big insult to the rest of the city, because the city has no issues.
Right.
Rob has no issues. He sent out a takedown notice. You guys have a nice, very old 143-year-old plat available online. Robinson Pearsall plat. Everything I offered them that night is here. This is the left hand. You guys know what you're talking about. I just want you to personally know that there is a right hand out here that is not respecting your guys' boundaries, borders. They're not using the maps that are provided to you, and they're lying to cover up that they didn't know all of their laws.
Right.
Bad.
Yeah.
So, personal message to you guys, to GIS. What you guys are giving me is what I've always thought, which is the Parks Department is not the official source for boundaries, and at most there is no official source for picture-based maps, like in patrol maps, because you're always supposed to refer to surveys and plats,
Right.
real estate and leases and stuff.
Right.
Anyway, so that's what you guys well trained me on.
I mean, what you could do is go down to real estate.
Oh
and
yeah,
find-
we have the.
Okay.
these- Oh yeah.
Because that would
We
be.
can go online.
They would have the most accurate of where the actual boundaries are.
Oh, yeah.
Because we buy the real estate, through them.
Yeah. The parcels are very old-fashioned. They're all laid out in
Right.
squares.
Yeah.
With numbers, parcel numbers, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so, already went online. Already gave the DA's office all of that. I gave the DA's office the entire email chain that happened, so they know that there's a fence that went up illegally. I gave them a plat,
Yeah.
so they know that I'm not. They should understand that I'm verifiably not in a 460 South College area.
Right.
But because I didn't show my ID, I got another charge of obstruction, which, by the way, you don't have to show your ID if you don't have probable
Yeah.
cause.
Yep. Mhm.
If you do, sure.
You do not need to carry a personal ID.
Yeah. And so, since they have that charge, they are stuck philosophically thinking that since I picked up that charge, that the first one has merit, since there's a reason why they're asking for my ID. So they don't know the law. Let's put it this way, my brother and I we are pro se attorneys. We've already tried attorneys, and so we have like 30 of these little cases where we use maps they don't, something like that. And they always seem to go down the path of basically sticking their head in the sand, do as little work as possible to try and claim some sort of plausible deniability that they didn't know that what was going on.
Right.
But we're getting really good, so we're telling them to their faces, maps, plats, right away, 100 feet. And then they're thinking, well, we don't have to, we got probable cause. And, so it's really, really dangerous, I
Yeah.
think. Because, well, truly speaking, this is what's the most dangerous, okay? We looked up the call record of that area, and we linked it, and they've been taking calls there for years, as if that is 460, that whole strip. Trespassing, move-alongs for homeless people. I called in dispatch and fought them. They told me flat out, "You're mistaken. If you want us to change something about this, you need to go to the survey and real estate department, the zoning department, and have them tell us." And I'm like, that's what I just did. I had a surveyor from the survey department send a plat out, or to send a takedown notice. And so the entire dispatch department is in the same boat, being really stuck because they don't want to admit that they've been fielding calls that way for years. And nobody knows what a fact is, we're finding. The definition of fact is lost within the bureaucratic system.
Oh, yeah.
So, very basic. You guys have the facts. I don't have any worries whatsoever. I've gone to court enough times. I can present it all in court. But now I'm in a new devious zone since I got wrongfully convicted. And I actually tried. And I gave them all the good faith. I gave them all the information, including the leases and everything. They still think that they need to convict me or keep me convicted. I'm no more Mr. Nice Guy now. I am telling the world that I'm going to go through with your wrongful conviction again. This time, I'm going to let you guys do. I'm going to go in front of the stand, purposely, not plead guilty, but basically say, "Okay, guys, crucify me. If you really think this is the boundaries, go right ahead, because we're all watching. It's all we can film this time, and I'm just reporting this to the outside world. Whether or not you guys stop yourselves from making a fool of yourselves, it's outside of my control. But I can give you guys the information, and so that's why I'm going around to each department. I know this isn't your position. I have a big fat physical complaint I need to email out to everyone's supervisors so they can all know what's going on. But ultimately, it's an epidemic that I don't think is going to get fixed until our story gets out and we're being silenced. We have a lot of other cases.
Right.
And so, heads up, there's police officers that aren't using maps. There's actually a lot of these other locations we call them sweep spots, just outside of parks, where they've been taking their people for years, and then we happen to come in, we're the first people to use maps. What do you know? That wasn't in their jurisdiction.
Right.
So we go to court, we use these maps every time. We have dozens of sweep spots, sweep people, sweep locations, sweep policies.
Right.
The entire Denver University thinks that they are their own district police-wise. They're non-sworn officers, they say. They think they have police powers. So another thing we discovered out in Denver.
Wow.
And we asked if he was a cop. He said yes. And he ran my name as if it was a cop. I don't give my IDs to security guards.
Right.
And so I got wrongfully imprisoned for my false impersonation anyways. So I'm working with them. But it's the same thing where when we tried to explain it to them, we called the police up. The police were like, "Oh, they've been doing this for years." I'm like, "Oh my God, did you guys just ratify that someone without a badge has police powers?"
Right.
And so we're getting really good though of this theory of criminal law psychology, where people don't actually base things off of evidence; they just go off of profiling and then fill in the gaps.
Right.
And so my final case was in Commerce City the other day. I stole a pack of cheese, and the employees themselves are not supposed to stop you for showing receipts. Or not showing receipts. They're supposed to just ask you and then go look at video camera footage.
Right.
If you keep walking.
Right.
Well, police officers aren't supposed to stop you either for not showing a receipt because there's no evidence of theft or anything like that. Police officers decided to stop me. While he's detaining me, they're doing their own little investigation, looking up on the video camera footage, which they're not supposed to be doing all rushed-wise. They go ahead and fail in our investigation, tell him I stole the cheese. I got arrested for it. And at the very end, after they write me my ticket, I give them the receipt. They're like, "Why didn't you give us the receipt before?" Well, why didn't you guys do a real investigation before? I shouldn't have to. That's my rights.
Yeah.
And so we're just hot on the trail. We're doing great. This is more of a turd in your guys' court right now. Plus, also, I want to commend you guys because you guys are doing the right jobs. I just really wish that you guys would just go kick your city police officers in the butt. Fire them. Because if you actually read through the appeal of that unlawful conduct, I asked multiple questions to try and get whatever I could out of that officer. He went off because he's on the stand, so he's going to do anything to not look bad for the jury.
Right.
He said, "Oh yeah, Parks Department, they're the official source of the boundaries. They talked to Bud. This is the map they offered." I said, "Hearsay, where's the Parks Department?" And they're like, "Well, they don't have to be here. They gave us this map." And so anything they could do to just wiggle out of basically, no one has gotten close enough to tell them that's not what they're supposed to be doing. And whether that be a 42 USC counterclaim for me, that's a long ways down the road. I don't want to have to do that. I think these officers with these sweep spots should Oh yeah, by the way, I've already contacted all of their superiors and internal affairs and so forth. And one of the cases is being looked in, but the other one they won't touch because they say it's a current case. But then their internal affairs policy says that you can still look at the current cases as long as it has nothing to do with their guilt or innocence. And if you can determine that an officer doesn't know his actual statutes, you know, you don't have to wait for court.
Right.
But they want to wait. Basically, they're bluffing. A scene, a bluff. We know it all. You know, I personally, let's put it this way. I'm at the point where it's so over that I just want to give you guys a bunch of big bowls of popcorn so you can sit back and watch yourselves. I'm inviting you to court. Unless you guys can talk to your city police themselves, I think you guys should see for yourselves that they have been essentially racketeering to cover up the illegal ticketing of an entire class of people, poverty, hate crimes. We've got most of these tickets being homeless, sleep-based tickets, camping, park curfew, construction structure, whatever they use interchangeably to remove somebody for their lower
Right.
socioeconomic status. So I want you guys to get pissed that there's somebody out there doing things under your table, you know, that because I think if someone is breaking the law, yes, you should due process them, get them help and so forth. But here, they come out. We already have some of the videos on YouTube. They literally come out and with their belly cams and everything, and we offer our maps, and they're like, literally, save that for trial. They literally tell us in front of our faces, and we're like, can't we discuss this right now? And you said you had a map too in your patrol vehicle, and they're like, we don't have to show you that. We're already ticketing you. And basically, they just don't want to, you know, get in trouble for bluffing. And so that was a really easy case. They even tried to lie against their own body cam footage on the stand, and we just showed up with, you know, a GIS map and our own body cam type footage. So whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
I'll let our department know.
yeah. There's well, at the very least, you know that you would never tell someone to go to the Parks Department for maps.
Right.
You would never refer them to there, specifically for boundary-based issues.
No.
You would at least say here,
Yeah.
with the caveat that legally there's always the
To look
surveys.
to look at the GIS maps.
Because I always get sent down the wrong path of people saying, oh, well, we won't know without the survey and stuff. Like, well, what do you compare the survey to? You have to have something, you know, an actual line called a map to start with. And so all the maps here, correct. Turns out that Jefferson Park map was incorrect in your system this entire time too, slightly.
Okay.
So I used the real estate lease to help you guys correct that. So thanks for updating that, so you guys have the correct information.
Yeah.
But let's put it this way, in a nutshell, the map that was originally sourced via GIS that was wrong included a railroad track and a parking lot over there that's not part of that Jefferson Park. And we call that kind of a yuppie move. Basically, they thought maybe it's part of the park, it's a parking lot, we want to close it at night, right? Turns out that's the map that's been incorrect this entire time for years. That was ended up on
It was
GIS.
probably what they had originally planned, and then
Purchase and maybe not fall through exactly.
Yeah.
And so, strange enough, that's the only reason why the Parks Department recreated their own map for maintenance purposes, is because they imported that other map. Felt as though we don't have to patrol or clean up a parking lot or a railroad track.
Right.
So they redrew it themselves, but they obviously included their own right of way because they like to do that. But it should be really easy for a police officer. There's no legend on this map, so you're supposed to ask questions. And they were supposed to get all that. And basically, the bad cops decided to just buddy and accept that was it. And nobody knows about this. They kept it secret. It's been a secret for a year. This is the first time you've ever heard that from me?
Yeah.
See? That's bad. I've been reporting this to their...
Oh, I just started here, though.
Oh, that's okay. But still, we've gone online to the city council. We talk to them all the time. We've emailed them before. I have their entire internal affairs department. But basically, nobody wants to admit that there's any homeless discrimination going on because this is the choice city, you know? But here's the thing. I was born and raised here. My brother and I are sick and tired of this some sort of image problem to cover up bad things because people want people to move here, tourism, money, stuff like that. It's a very just a bad business model, and it causes people. We've noticed in other jurisdictions to do anything they can to hide that they made a bad ticket, you know. And so, man, we're really good now. It's silly. We just had to the point where an officer didn't even show up to court. He wrote such a bad ticket, but we still had to waste our time going to court.
Yeah.
So, but it got thrown out, you know. So,
Yeah.
but that was one real quick where that was the first time ever where there was this witness out of nowhere that they were trying to bait or work with to substantiate some sort of formal warning because they were trying to get him on trespassing my brother, and he had not received any formal warning. But they basically racketeered to put a fake witness on the stand who he's never met, and they said they personally told him that they warned him personally off the property. And you know what's so funny about that is we literally record every single conversation with everybody, and that's not part of our recordings. So you know we could have missed it, but you know when we caught her on the stand, she said that he was outside the door, and he's never been that close to safely. He's never been outside the door. He's out next to the street and stuff. So we're just tired of people basically lying to cover up that they didn't do their job, and police aren't given enough time or power or energy or training, and they always go off of the defendant to see him, and then they fill in the gaps later when they should be going off of the elements. Oh my gosh, you know. And so I've been on private property that they consider a public road because it looks like a road because it's a private drive going into a Walmart or something like that.
Right.
But it's not a road, and so they ratified that, and I got an obstruction ticket for not showing my ID on private property. You know. So whatever. Thanks for listening.
No problem.
Seriously, it's a lot easier to talk to non-legal, non-technical people these days because you get to talk to the cops, and they will go around in circles saying, "Oh, but it's this situation, or but that, or this, or that," and you know. So I'm just trying to give you guys a heads up. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
We're still free. I'm out on bond still. I have another 2 cases, but basically we have like 50 of these cases together. We need about $3,000. We've been homeless for 2 years. Each case added to the point where we couldn't get jobs without falling behind on our paperwork. I'm already fighting a wrongful eviction 10 years anyways. So they've messed with the wrong person. I'm an attorney. I'm just going to bankrupt them. No offense or anything, guys. We'll keep the GIS and Parks Departments around, but the police department, no way. So I'm really sorry.
No.
But seriously, thank you for the talk.
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been like a year since I've even picked up this case because I've been so busy with other cases. But that's what we're trying to show is that you guys, not you, but people are just trying to hide things, brush things under the rug. And the easiest is 460 South College. There's a minor amendment process for that. There were never any fence permits for it. There's a whole email chain. And yet, like, if you use your imagination, we're still going to court, so they're still going to put a cop on that still says he can think that's 460. And if I don't say anything at all, like with some of my other cases, there is an actual risk of being wrongfully convicted because there's juries that don't know fact either, and they just kind of trust whatever a cop, especially with reputation, says. And that's what I'm so scared about is that these people have such good, not good, but reputation-wise, they've gotten away with things long enough that they couldn't possibly have been made starting with a mistake now.
Right.
But like I said, we've looked at 460. They've been illegally taking people there for years. Oh my gosh. And there's still security possibly moving people along. I've heard too. They think that that's their property too. The whole thing is a sham because there's a sign that says no loitering, please take action above it. No one knows why that's there. No one's ever bothered to take it down or address it. But we feel as though that's influencing anybody that doesn't know property lines.
Right.
So, but you can enjoy sitting down yourself there. Do it as a sting and see if a cop stops you. It's weird type of sting because some people don't want to get ticketed, but try and get ticketed. It's funny. You have the proof. You're in the right department. But you guys are not the right types to sting. We like to sting because we're already being profiled as whatever.
Right.
But that's the point, though. Really quickly speaking, that's probably what our most dangerous concern is we only get picked up because we look homeless, and so we have this thing called a ghost protocol that we pull for people, for these cops. And so we'll call in the exact same scenario. So for instance, Jefferson Park, this was after the Jefferson Park movement, we call in some pizza box enjoyers, half of them are in the park, they're half of them on the sidewalk. Cops show up, tell them they can't be in the park, tell them they can be on the sidewalk, didn't look at a map, and then when I call back dispatch, he's like, well, yeah, it's city property. What's the issue here? What are you talking about? So they got that right. They've gotten that right correctly for years. And that's just their protocol. That's the day protocol. And so the fact that there's not even a blink of an issue for these people, and yet you guys removed an entire Occupy Jefferson movement out of a sidewalk with this fake map that you won't admit is wrong. It's just downright disgusting. That's a day protocol. That's a night protocol. ultimately just wanted to let you guys know that there is another protocol going on in your city right now. That's not what you guys push. So it's very bad. Red alert, red alert. So thanks. What's your name?
Colleen.
Colleen, good to meet you. I think I might have met you one time, a long time ago.
I don't think so.
Oh wait, no, you said you're new.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Heads up.
Thank you.
You know, I'm not homeless. I had a computer job. I just got sick and lost my job. I got assaulted out of my residence. So, it's weird, but you know, someone needed a case law anyways. So these people think that we're not onto them. They lie. They actually change their stories live, but they don't know we're recording. So we have it, and we have so many inconsistencies. Oh man! Eventually, the officer that night said that there were 2 leases because he couldn't say that there was even one because of the extra boundary line and stuff. Basically, they'll just make whatever they want up. So, just for you guys' benefit, it's all documented. I just can't get enough eyes on it. I can't get the internal affairs to look at it,
Yeah.
or the city department because they don't want to look under that rock. So if they don't want to, I'm gonna keep coming back to you guys. You know, I will in 10 years from now keep letting you guys know. Hopefully, you guys can keep helping me in general. It's basic questions. See what I mean? Basic questions. And now I can go to the police department and say, more basic questions, guys. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, no offense to you guys, I will totally subpoena you. You don't have to say anything on the stand. You're not guilty, but I can subpoena you to say, hey, where do you go to the Parks Department
Right.
for their boundaries?
Right.
And you would never say to you guys, or the Parks Department.
Right.
So, not that I'm going to hold that to any fire, because people always lawyer up and think that, aha, I got you. No, whatever. Basic stuff. But it shouldn't be this hard, you know? So, thanks for the condolences. I really have. We're just up to our eyeballs. We work right now, so I wanted a little relief. I like juice. Okay, so talking to people in person, way funner than just sending some paperwork and stuff. So,
I agree.
but I appreciate the talk. I really do.
No problem.
Have a wonderful day.